Welcome to the Horror Movie Showdown, episode 74. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at the first movie in the hyped Fear Street trilogy. It is Fear Street Part 1, 1994. So apparently these movies are based on a series of teenage horror books by Robert Lawrence Stein, who is probably the most famous for his Goosebumps books, which have sold more than 400 million copies. That's insane! These numbers are almost rivaling the Harry Potter series with its 500 million copies.
Shut up, Harry.
The Fear Street books are also quite popular, and they have been sold in more than 80 million copies. But I must admit that prior to researching this movie, I had never heard of them. With such insane sales numbers, it totally makes sense that the author is often referred to as the Stephen King of children's books. And that's also my greatest fear for today's movie, that it is for children. But it does have an R rating, so it can't be all bad, right? Well, it's time to find out. The movie starts out with a quick joke about one of the Fear Street books.
It's trash. Lowbrow horror.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm expecting from this movie.
Attention shoppers, the Shadyside Mall is now closed. The Shadyside Mall is now closed.
So the Shadyside Mall is closing for the night to the tune of an awesome Nine Inch Nails song. Well, that is just until we're disturbed by two fake scares.
Jesus Christ!
A second later, we have a masked killer hunting a girl through the mall, which is beautifully lit by black lights. I dig it. Why did black lights ever go out of fashion? They're awesome! Anyways, the killer catches the girl in a scene that reminds me of the one from Scream. And it turns out that the masked killer is her friend. What is going on? Could it be that the movie has some kind of twist about a killer spirit that jumps from person to person? It could be, as jumping spirits have been all the rage in newer horror movies like It Follows and Freaky. And it would also make sense as the killer dies right here, and we kinda need a killer for the rest of the movie. We then jump to the credits, which are pretty cool looking, and you gotta love how they talk about the idyllic Sunnyvale and the crime-ridden Shadyside, which throughout history apparently has been the killer capital of the USA. Could this contrast become relevant later in the movie? I sure think so. So now we are finally introduced to the real main characters of the movie. An angry teenage girl called Dina, and her chubby computer geek brother who chats in the darkest corners of AOL, with experts in historic Shadyside massacres and their connection with the one-handed witch.
She reaches from beyond the grave to make good men her wicked slave.
Next we follow Dina as she goes to school, where no one is sad about the massacre. It is actually quite the opposite, where everyone is joking about the kills, and one student has even dressed up as the witch. Wow, that is cold. The Sunnyvalers, however, are much nicer, as they have arranged a memorial for the Shadysiders. And as Dina is in the band, she has to participate. A funny little detail that I suspect will become important later is that the sports team from Sunnyvale is called the Devils, while the one in Shadyside is called the Witches. I think the movie does quite well in throwing all these small hints that keep you guessing. So at the memorial, it turns out that the Sunnyvalers and the Shadysiders actually hate each other, and the memorial turns into one huge fight. And it also turns out that Dina's ex-girlfriend has become a Sunnyvaler, and even worse, she has become straight. Could things get any worse? Well, of course they can. The Sunnyvalers start chasing the Shadysiders out of their town, which makes the Shadysiders want to kill the Sunnyvalers. It all seems a bit extreme, and the Shadysiders actually almost succeed in killing the Sunnyvalers. These teenagers sure are obsessed with death.
You Shadyside trash. You are all fucking dead.
30 minutes into the movie, and we already have several crazy setups. We have witches and devils, we have AOL chatters on the dark web, and we have a deadly rivalry. I'm not going to spoil the rest of the movie for you, but I will just mention a few plot points that will be relevant for my review of Fear Street 2 in the next episode. So throughout the rest of the movie, we are taken to classic horror locations, such as a hospital, a school and a supermarket. And along the way we find out that there are multiple killers, who all used to be ordinary people. It is suspected that a witch has possessed them, and that there is a connection to the year 1978, which is the year of Fear Street Part 2.
1978, 16 years ago. Mass psycho murders a bunch of kids at Camp
Nightwing.
And apparently the Shadyside Massacres started in the year 1666, which is the subtitle of Part 3.
That's the pastor, Cyrus Miller, 1666. He was the first one recorded.
The rumor goes that in 1666, a witch was hanged by Shadysiders, and ever since she has been punishing the Shadysiders from beyond the grave. Spooky! Let's get to the scoreboard. The movie has 11 kills, and some of them are just amazing, especially the last 2. The movie is super atmospheric in that teenage horror kind of way, so it gets a scariness score of 4. When it comes to nudity, we get some ash flashing and some underwear scenes, so it gets a nudity score of 3. Overall, I was pleasantly surprised with Fear Street Part 1. The movie used every cliché in the book to its advantage, and there was even a funny nod to Terminator 2 and an important plot point taken straight out of Final Destination. But the movie also has its flaws, like a slow middle section and a few stupid and nonsensical plot points, like when the kids attempt to blow up the killers, though they have already found out that they cannot be killed. Still, I enjoyed the movie enough to give it a small score of 7. The movie just captures that 90s atmosphere so well, with its many cool details in the backgrounds, like posters and toys. And I would say that the movie feels like a modern and fresh take on Scream, as both movies are very meta. The movie has intrigued me enough that I'm also going to watch the sequel, which looks like it will be a teenage camp slasher in the veins of Friday the 13th and The Burning. Keep an eye on the Ebbe Monster channel, as Fear Street Part 2 will be in the next episode of the Horror Movie Showdown. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you later.